I don't really know how to talk about this because there's such a mishmash of information that it's kind of complicated, and so much has happened, and it's turned into a really wild story. But you know, as you guys know, Roe v. Wade got hashtag canceled by the Supreme Court, and as a product, a bunch of trigger laws went into effect, where in more red-leaning states, instantly abortion was banned, and also if you even have a womb, they just like shoot you from a rooftop or something like that. Anyway, a story went viral, okay? And that story was of a 10-year-old girl who needed an abortion. Um, and the existence of this story, which was promoted by left-leaning politicians and media, was immediately met with some incredulity by conservatives. So this article right here is from the 13th of July. A one-source story about a 10-year-old and an abortion goes viral. You can tell from the title right here, one-source story. This article is critical, see, it's a fact checker, of the fact that this story couldn't initially be verified. The reason this story couldn't be verified, as this article goes on to explain, is because they couldn't, like, get the name of the girl. And I want you to wonder for a moment why they might not want her name out there. You can ponder that if you like. You can contemplate um, that. Bernard declined to identify the fact checker, her colleague, or the city where the child was located. So nobody wanted to provide info. Therefore, hold on. I just Dan Tierney, press secretary for Ohio Governor Mike DeWine, said the governor's office was unaware of any specific case, but he said under the state's decentralized system, records would be held at the local level. Thus, he said it would be hard to confirm a report without knowing the local jurisdiction and narrow the search. He added, the rape of a 10-year-old certainly would be newsworthy. Okay. So, okay. So here's the issue. Okay, like right off the bat. Here's the issue. Okay? Really sucks to admit this, and no one takes tremendous pleasure in acknowledging this, which is why a lot of people don't want to, but 10-year-old girls getting raped, not crazy uncommon. Not here, not anywhere. It's a thing that happens. If you know enough women, you probably have heard stories comparable to that. The more noteworthy element of this story is the fact that it actually resulted in a pregnancy. That is biologically unlikely. But the idea that the rape of a 10-year-old would be innately newsworthy, if it was, then we would be seeing a lot more news of it. Unfortunately, a lot of this stuff happens under relatively covert circumstances. The fact that this was being treated like some untrue, unverifiable story to begin with from the right was disgusting to begin with. Yeah, obviously 10-year-old girls are going to be raped, and obviously some of them, unlikely as it may be in any individual circumstance, are going to get pregnant as a product of that. So yes, anti-abortion laws are in fact going to lead to situations like this, where they have to travel across state lines in order to get an abortion. That's not an unlikely outcome. I have a lot of news articles on the right. I'm going to try to pull them in the correct order here. Man charged with rape of 10-year-old who had abortion after right-wing media called story not true. Police say Ohio man confessed to raping a girl who went to Indiana for abortion following the right's attempts to discredit the story. Garrison Fuentes? Oh. How funny. 27, who was arrested on Tuesday, appeared in Franklin County, Ohio Municipal Court for an arraignment on Wednesday. Police investigator testified at the hearing that Fuentes had confessed to raping the girl at least twice. The arrest came after... So, note this. The arrest, and therefore the record of the arrest, came after right-wing media had poured scorn on reports of the child's abortion. Also, the Republican Ohio Attorney General. I mean, that's the level we're talking about. Like, this poor girl got raped by an adult, and then she gets to see her state's AG go like, nah, nope. So keep in mind, there very well may have been a world where this 10-year-old girl was raped, and the rapist never got arrested, and thus this rape was never logged into the criminal justice system, and therefore would have remained eternally unverifiable by that standard. Believe it or not, a lot of rapists don't get arrested, and fewer still get, imprisoned. So suggesting it was not true and too good to confirm. It's the Republican narrative following a 10-year-old girl getting raped and made pregnant, I guess. Victim in the case underwent an abortion in neighboring Indiana on the 30th of June. Police officer testified at the Wednesday hearing. You get the gist. Following the arrest of the perpetrator, our original article right here got the update. An arrest has been made in the case, providing additional confirmation. More details below. So this smarmy fact-checking article does get its update, additional confirmation. Like, in retrospect, I guess the initial story counted as its own kind of confirmation. Not like we were wrong. Whatever. Anyway, because we're nowhere near done, unfortunately. Here we go. Here's an example of the incredulity which was being supplied by of course. Which was being supplied by conservative outlets and conservative opinions after the story was initially reported on. Too good to confirm, Biden told a tale of a 10-year-old rape victim that no one can identify. Because apparently the impulse that everyone has when a story that is not that unlikely takes place, they want to find the name, essentially dox the 10-year-old rape victim. I'm sure there will be no consequences to that. That wasn't the only output from the right wing, of course. We also have National Right to Life official claiming that the 10-year-old should have had the baby. Yeah, cool. She would have had the baby, and as many women, this is a 10-year-old girl, who have had babies as a result of rape, we would hope she would understand the reason and ultimately the benefit of having the child, Bob said in a phone interview on Thursday. Presumably while, I don't know, jerking it. I can only assume that's the type of person we're dealing with here. 10-year-old. I mean, elementary schooler. Here. Woman. Yeah. All right, so great, excellent, phenomenal. Which of these stories? I'm trying to get these in order. Up next, you may have noticed, for those big-brained of you, that the rapist in this case had the last name Fuentes. Funny coincidences aside, you might notice this is a Hispanic name. The right went immediately from denying that the rape had ever happened to shifting the blame onto the man who was an immigrant, is an immigrant. So it went from it didn't happen to so it sort of in a seamless transition. We went from there is no 10-year-old rape victim to look at all these Mexicans raping our 10-year-olds. The classic turnaround. 10-year-old girl was raped and became pregnant as a result of that violence. The child, 6 weeks and 3 days into an unwanted pregnancy, then had to travel from Ohio to neighboring Indiana to receive abortion care after a 6-week ban went into effect in her state following the Supreme Court decision in Dobbs v. Jackson's Women's Health Organization. 2 weeks after the story made headlines, a Columbus man who is reportedly undocumented, was arrested and charged with the girl's rape. Meanwhile, the Indiana Attorney General Todd Rokita threatened the doctor who provided the abortion with criminal charges, even though it has since come to light she complied with required reporting to the state. Yeah, we'll get to the threats that have been made against the doctor who performed the abortion in a second. Yeah, we'll get there. So, people picked up on this, that it was being shifted into an anti-undocumented immigrant story. And some Republican politicians are trying to reframe the story around illegal immigration. Naturally, of course. I've said this many times before, but people on the right don't care about women getting raped unless they're getting raped by non-white people, like foreigners or like different races or whatever. Like all principled defenses of women's right to bodily autonomy are framed against Muslim grooming gangs or black people or immigrants or whatever, but never as a thing in and of themselves. Any accusation of sexual misconduct from a non-white person is framed as this heinous threat against the sovereignty and beauty and untarnished virtue of white women. and any accusation of sexual impropriety against a white man is treated like hysterical whinging from feminists. I don't know. I don't know why. Yeah, have I? Have I read articles in your shitty fucking site? You know, right-wing media doesn't do this. Did you know that? Did you know the fucking Post-Millennial and the Daily Wire will let you read whatever you want because they realize that viewership is going to... I know, I can get around the blocks. I just don't even care to. I hate it. I hate them so much. It's a reason... I know about 12foot.io. Okay, anyway, moreover. So, naturally, after the story was confirmed, you know, it wasn't enough to go after the illegal immigrants or the doctor who performed the abortion on their own. You know, we have to make this a holistic political attack. These are remarks from the 8th. Title says the doctor who performed an abortion for a 10-year-old rape victim faces backlash. Namely, they've been facing death threats. Wait, these are just transcripts. Wait, these are just transcripts from the record. There's no article attached to this? Did they discuss this directly? Oh, this isn't an interview with Biden. Biden was just the one leading the interview, or like leading the sound recording, and then they break into this. I can find the other article that I had. Doctor of daughter who gave 10-year-old an abortion faces kidnapping threat. Oh, right, of course. Well, you know what? There's the title. I fucking hate these news sites. Basically, the doctor who performed the abortion on the 10-year-old who had to travel across state lines, who's been threatened by his own attorney general, has received death threats. Their daughter has received kidnapping threats. The daughter of the doctor, like, for some reason, I guess. Oh, no, wait. Sorry, that threat was from 2020. I hate these. I have no idea why you wouldn't put the year there. Right there. Where are the death threats? I'm gonna do it live on stream right now. I'm gonna do it literally right now live on stream. It's actually insane. It's actually insane. It's insane. It's unbelievable. It gets worse every single year. It's incredible. Like, literally, hey, you know what isn't fucking gatekept? The fucking New York Post. Thanks, guys. Now we're gonna read the New York Post. I hope you're happy. Because right-wing media doesn't block the fucking articles.
State lines. There is a 10-year-old girl from Ohio who traveled across state lines to Indiana to seek an abortion. And also tonight we're learning, Bill, that the doctor who is in charge of caring for her is facing repercussions for this story getting out the way that it did. Now, this horrific ordeal was first reported on July 1st by the Indianapolis Star newspaper. It was then retold by President Biden last week during a speech about abortion rights. Now, Biden said the girl was raped and then forced to travel across state lines to get an abortion because of Ohio's restrictive abortion law. That followed the Supreme Court ruling on Roe v. Wade. Now, this story was doubted by many because the Indianapolis newspaper cited only an anecdote from the Indiana doctor who was caring for this girl. That doctor is Caitlin Bernard, and she was at an abortion rights rally talking about the situation involving the young girl. And we've learned tonight from a source that her employer has filed a HIPAA violation against her for sharing details about the young patient. What is still unclear tonight, Bill, is whether this girl was forced to cross state lines as the president alleged, or was she simply referred to an expert in a different state. As Ohio's attorney general told Jesse Waters last night, the girl did not need to leave the state. She would have been able to legally get an abortion in Ohio.
So it's a whole goddamn thing. As you can see, I noticed this video doesn't even refer to the title over here. I see 999000001. Ohio has no exemptions for abortion. Yeah, what is the Ohio abortion law? Does Ohio's abortion ban have a rape exemption? As of July 2022, Ohio's law banning abortions for people who have been pregnant for 6 weeks or longer have exemptions for victims of rape. False. Okay? So there is no exemption for rape, which is what I thought. Glenn Greenwald claimed that Ohio does have a rape exemption in its law. So this is how fucking insane things have gotten. These guys, like, the right has to pass laws that are this destructive, that lead to, like, fucking 10-year-olds getting the like needing to flee to get abortions, and they have to lie about their own laws. Like, no, we didn't do that, you know. Ohio's law does not make an exception for rape victims. He also explicitly. What Ohio's law does actually state is that the ban does not apply to pregnant people if the physicians believe an abortion would prevent death or serious physical harm to the patient. In other words, as the law states, a physician who performs the medical procedure that another physician's reasonable medical judgment. So abortion does have an exemption for if it will fucking kill you. How this is like not even remotely reliable, right? Like if there was like, even if there was a serious threat to the life of a girl who was pregnant, I would never want to be in a state where I had to wait on the doctor's like impression of whether or not, you know, like I would never want that. Yeah, like that's not an acceptable amount of leeway at all. Can a 10-year-old die from a pregnancy super easily? Yeah, but like you realize right now with the way the law is, like even if a doctor performed the abortion in Ohio, they could face like a fuck ton of repercussions for doing so. Like that's the thing. Everything is fucked right now. If you're in a state where the fucking GOP is in charge, like you can be fucked over even if you follow the tiny narrow permissions that they give you in these laws, because you can still get sued, you know, you can still get suppressed, you can still get your license revoked because they can do anything they want. Like that's it. They can do whatever they want. Anyway, we didn't even get to the fucking subject here, which is that the mom of the 10-year-old is defending the rapist. This is not that uncommon. It is not at all uncommon for guys to for mom's new boyfriend to rape their kids, and for the mom to defend the guy. Where's the video? Holy shit, that bit right. Where the fuck is the... Yeah, unfortunately, there are probably people in chat who are like here right now who were sexually abused as children and had a parent who defended the person who sexually abused them. Probably more than one of the people in chat. Yeah.
Mother defends rapist of a 10-year-old that Biden described.
Oh, just give me the news clip.
The girl's rapist in.
Please.
Told the girl was pregnant when Franklin kind of called the protect.
Just give. This is some right-wing rag. Wait, was that Elijah Schaefer? Why does he look different? Whatever. Where's the fucking...
The mother of a 10-year-old Ohio girl who crossed state lines to get an abortion has defended her daughter's 27-year-old confessed rape.
This is...
Guatemala.
Is it really that hard to just give me the clip?
Weeks for abortion, 6 weeks of is yes, anti-hangover, and the don't. The Supreme Court overturns Roe.
Scars the individual, all or in part, for the rest of their life, just as child abuse does. But if a baby is created, it is a human life, and whether that mother ends that pregnancy or not, the scars will not go away. Period. It is a shame that it happens, but there's an opportunity for that woman, no matter how young or old she is, to make a determination about what she's going to do to help that life be a productive human being. She can choose to raise the child. She can choose to give that child to a loving family member or to give it to someone else. And that child can grow up and be something magnificent.
So, Joyce, there's no exception for rape or incest, as in many of the laws.
Cool. Where's the goddamn video clip? Let's go with the Daily Mail. They won't fucking block me. This is the same clip. What can I get the... Can I not get the video? Is this it? From Telemundo News? This might be it. Oh, this is why it's been in images, because they're speaking Mexican. But yeah, she's fine. Everything they're saying against him is a lie. I'm fluent in Mexican. I'm not. I think that's it, though. I have the clip with English subs.
¿La niña vivía aquí también? Sí, pero ella está bien. Todo lo que están diciendo en contra de él es mentira. Ya. ¿Y la niña, usted es familiar de la niña?
Es mi hija. La señora, quien se negó a dar su nombre y quien ocultó su rostro, asegura que ella no ha impuesto cargos en contra de Gerson Fuentes, de 27 años, quien está acusado de violación. De acuerdo a las autoridades, él confesó que tuvo contacto vaginal al menos 2 veces con la niña, que recientemente cumplió 10 años, por lo que se estima que pudiera haber tenido 9 años cuando fue violada y quedó en embarazo.
Cool. So he's free? No. Pressing charges is the whole pressing charges meme is like a misunderstanding of how the law works. If you violate a law, the state presses charges. The attorney general does the work. Pressing charges yourself means laying civil claims, but like for rape, this is a criminal thing. So there's no real pressing charges here. But yeah, the mom clearly not quite as mad as one might expect one to be, given the circumstances. Doctor who performs abortion on 10-year-old Ohio rape survivor warns Indiana AG to stop defaming her. So the doctor who performed the abortion is actually threatening a defamation lawsuit against the Indiana AG. Right? Sorry, the Indiana AG. Stop lying about this shit. Many Republicans and conservatives, after initially raising questions about whether the case was real, have since attacked the Indiana doctor in the case. Legal action. Okay. So, to summarize, in this wonderfully horrible tale, okay? At least twice, a 9-year-old girl in Ohio is raped by a man who later turns out to be an undocumented immigrant. The girl gets pregnant, and is pregnant long enough that it's past the 6-week period for the Ohio law. There is an exemption in Ohio law for allowing abortions that would, if not done, cause significant harm to the mother, but this is not a reliable clause to work with. So presumably, the girl traveled on over to Indiana where an abortion was performed. Later, after the man was arrested, conservatives shifted the story from "this never happened," which again is weird because like this is not an unexpected outcome at all. Like there are victims of child sexual abuse. It's not unheard of at all. The story shifted from "this never happened" to actually she should have had the baby. Every life is a miracle. And then attacked the doctor, attacked the fact that the man who did the rape was an illegal immigrant, and shifted everything away, like in every possible way, shifted the point away. You know, lied about Ohio having the rape exemption, you know, like broadly pretending that. And now the Indiana doctor who performed the abortion is being assailed by HIPAA complaints and potentially defamatory accusations by her attorney general, who seems to be sympathetic to the whole anti-abortion thing. And Republicans are just all over the place with this. Do I have to follow this with any political analysis? I feel like this all kind of speaks for itself, you know? This one feels pretty straightforward. It's like, yep, this is what we get when Republicans have any power at all. Every step of this has just an ongoing nightmare. It's bad in every possible way. That's it, really. That's pretty much it. It just doesn't feels like any attempt to elucidate the specific problem here, as if there was only one, would just be kind of a waste of time. It seems pretty obvious. Who could have seen something like this happening? Yeah, well, I think I actually saw a conservative, though I don't remember who, making the argument that banning all abortions is a good thing for child sexual assault victims, because if abortion is legal, their like dads or uncles who rape them can just get them a quiet abortion, but if it's not legal, then they stay pregnant, which exposes the crime. This is deeply retarded on every front. Was that Matt Walsh? Okay, that was Matt Walsh. Thank you. But yeah. I think this is just a roundabout way of pedophilic conservatives wanting to see pregnant 10-year-olds. So they're like kink or something. Yeah, basically. I bet you liberals think you're pretty smart bringing up how that pregnant 10-year-old had to drive several hours out of state to get an abortion. Little did you know the rapist was an illegal immigrant. Actually, your argument is invalid, and it is fine that pregnant 10-year-olds have to travel so. It's like everything. They never have just one argument, right? It's that the doctor who performed the abortion was bad, and also they lie about Ohio abortion law to pretend that they didn't have to travel out of state, as though that's the point. And then it's like and then it's like actually the 10-year-old should have been a mom and should have like raised a baby from elementary school, just like just an absolute scattershot of opinions here. Oh yeah, here we go. There we go. Oh, I'm happy to see this got ratioed into oblivion. From Matt Walsh, the man, the myth, the legend. If a 12-year-old is raped by her father and the father takes her to get an abortion, the evidence of his crime will be destroyed and he'll go on molesting his victim for years. However, if the child is born, the crime will be discovered and she will be rescued from the abuse. I feel like you could take a few minutes to explain all the lines in which this is terrible, but all of them end at the same point, and it's that he's a pedophile, so we don't really need to. Like, you know what I mean? It's like looking at one of those big crayon menus they give like 5-year-olds at restaurants, and you're looking at it from like a top down, and you can see the start and you can see at the end, and the end of that maze is Matt Walsh is a pedophile. You don't need to go through the maze to get there. It's fine. Bedpost in your own mind, dim, not in my chat. Yeah, the reason I haven't talked about this because I don't really know what to say. I try to provide relatively innovative or at least interesting takes on stuff, and I know that I'm not always in line with like the hegemonic left view, but this is really one of those situations where just dryly reading an article that details all the information is sufficient to provide basically any information that you need on it. Like, no follow-up analysis is relevant or necessary.